She arrived at the ranch just as the sun began its slow fall, the kind of golden light that turned dust into drifting embers. The wagon that brought her didn't wait for thanks or farewells. It rolled away without looking back, leaving her alone at the edge of a wide, quiet land that smelled of smoke, dry grass, and work that never truly ended. She stood still for a moment, a small bundle in one hand, the other hanging loosely at her side, fingers stiff from years that had taught her more about survival than comfort. She didn't stare at the ranch with hope or fear. She'd learned long ago not to grow attached too quickly. Instead, she adjusted the strap on her shoulder and walked toward the wooden shed where voices and laughter spilled into the open air. People often mistook silence for weakness. She had lived long enough to know better. Silence had kept her fed when words failed. It had kept her safe when questions led to fists. So she carried it with her like a shield, polished by time. She didn't talk much. She worked. And today, work was the only thing standing between her and the long road. She didn't want to walk again. Under the shed, men gathered around a rough table, boots dusty, hats tipped back, mugs raised. Their laughter was loud and careless, the sound of men who believed tomorrow was guaranteed. At the center stood the rancher. He wasn't the loudest, but he was the stillest. Tall, broad, sun-worn, with eyes that measured more than they judged. He noticed her presence without turning, the way men who had survived long enough always did. She waited. Waiting was familiar. A pot simmered nearby, neglected. The smell was wrong, too sharp, too burned. One man complained about supper. Another laughed it off. The rancher finally turned, his eyes landing on her, taking in her face, her hands, the bundle she carried like it held everything she owned. His voice was calm when he spoke. "You here for work?" She nodded. "What can you do?" She could have said many things. She had washed clothes in freezing rivers, stitched wounds under candlelight, cooked meals from scraps when hunger was louder than pride. But words felt heavy. When she spoke, her voice was low and steady. "I don't talk much, mister," she said. Then she glanced at the pot. "But I can cook." A few men laughed. One raised his mug like it was a joke worth toasting. The rancher didn't smile. He studied her, then stepped aside and nodded toward the fire. "Fix it." She didn't hesitate. She set her bundle down carefully, lifted the pot's lid and breathed in the truth of it. Food always told the truth. She stirred slowly, adjusted the fire, scraped bitterness from the bottom, and from her bundle pulled a small cloth, pouch of dried herbs she'd saved for reasons she'd never named. No one spoke as she worked. The laughter faded. Curiosity replaced it. When she finally ladled a bowl and handed it to the rancher, the moment stretched. He smelled it, tasted it, chewed slowly. Something shifted in his expression. "I'll be damned," someone muttered. The rancher took another bite, then nodded. "What's your name?" She hesitated, then gave it. He repeated it once like he was testing how it fit the air, then said, "You're hired." Relief loosened something in her chest. She didn't smile. She didn't thank him. She went back to the fire and fed men who suddenly watched her with quiet respect. That night, under a sky full of sharp stars, she realized she had a place to stand when morning came. Morning arrived without ceremony. She was already awake when boots hit the dirt, sleeves rolled, hands busy. Breakfast smelled fuller, warmer. Men ate without jokes. Silence surrounded her work, not awkward but earned. The rancher watched from a distance, unsettled in a way he couldn't quite explain. Days passed. She learned the rhythms of the ranch, the men's habits, the small injuries they hid. She listened more than she spoke, and the food grew better for it. Something steady formed around her presence. Trouble arrived one afternoon on horseback, wearing a smile that didn't reach the eyes. Supplies went missing. Voices rose. Shoving followed. She stepped forward, calm as ever. "Food's ready." The words were soft, but they landed. Hunger settled tempers where pride could not. The rancher met her eyes across the firelight and understood, something without saying it. A storm followed days later, sudden and violent. Cattle broke loose. Men slipped in the mud. When one fell hard, she was there first, steadying him, checking his arm, grounding his panic. Afterward, the rancher found her sitting alone, hands trembling slightly. "You don't flinch," he said. "Flinching never helped," she replied. That night he spoke again. "You don't just cook. You keep order." "I'll stay," she said when he offered more responsibility. And just like that, something solid took root. This place didn't save her, and she didn't save it. They met each other halfway, building something steady from fire, patience and quiet strength. And if this story held you, if you could feel the dust, the silence, and the slow trust forming in the firelight, then this is where you become part of it. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the stories that follow, because the strongest stories aren't loud. They wait for those who listen.